The Pittsburgh Steelers season starts in a couple of days. But before the season starts, I just want to give my predictions on the season, on their schedule. Do I believe they're going to win, lose all their games, go through each game one by one and give you my predictions? Are they going to make the playoffs? Are they not going to make the playoffs? And so on and so forth. So, obviously, we're going to start off with this Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. This is being played in Pittsburgh, and I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers will win the game at home week 1 opening against the 49ers. If you remember last year, the Bengals, they struggled against the Steelers and their defense, and the Steelers won the game against the Bengals. Many didn't think they were going to win that game against the Bengals because they just came off of a Super Bowl run, the Bengals did, but the Steelers won it. And same one this season against the 49ers. I believe the Steelers, they're going to win this game against the 49ers, and it's going to be a big showing out that they're actually a real deal this season and can actually be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL. So they win week 1 against the 49ers. And then going over to week 2, Monday night against the Browns. This one is once again in Pittsburgh, and it's Monday night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And I believe once again, the Steelers, they win this game against the Browns, and it's a division matchup. So it's always nice beating the Browns, and it seems like the Steelers always have an advantage whenever they face the Browns. Their record against the Browns these past 10, 20 years have been amazing, and they once again beat the Browns this season at home Monday Night Football. Going to week 3 now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have an easy matchup the next 2 weeks. They have a matchup September 24th, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time against the Las Vegas Raiders. So once again, this is an easy matchup, I believe. The Raiders, their defense has not really been great. They still have a good offense, but Derek Carr's not there anymore. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. I believe the Steelers open the season 3-0 against the Raiders, and they beat them on prime time, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. So the Steelers open up 3-0 the NFL season. The next week, October 1st, the Steelers have another easy matchup against the Houston Texans. This one's Sunday at 1 p.m. on October 1st. Obviously, on paper, these last 4 matchups I just went through, the 49ers, Browns, Raiders, Texans, the first 2, 49ers and Browns, are much harder on paper, and on paper, Raiders and Texans are easier. Obviously, sometimes the paper gets thrown out the window, and it's just how a team does that season, but I believe the Texans are still not there with their team. They still have a rookie quarterback. They're still dealing with stuff on their offense, defense. Are they going to be a good team this year? I don't believe so, but I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers open up the season 4-0 against the Texans, and they beat them Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So the Steelers right now sit at 4-0 at 4 games through the season. But their next game against another AFC North division rival, and this one is against the Baltimore Ravens, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, October 8th. I believe this is where the Steelers, they get their first loss of the season, and they now move to 1-4. The Steelers, Ravens, they usually kind of split season series. The past couple of seasons, the Steelers have been winning more though, but usually it's a really tough matchup whenever they face the Ravens. It's always like a low-scoring game. Lamar Jackson, Kenny Pickett, it's be another duel and see who wins this one. But the Steelers, I believe, the first matchup of the season between these 2 teams, the Steelers will lose it, and it'll be 1-4 their record. So the Steelers are 1-4. Moving on to their next game, it's Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time, October 22nd, against the Los Angeles Rams. This one is a tricky one because 2 years ago, the Rams won the Super Bowl, and they're a pretty decent team when they won the Super Bowl, their offense and their defense. But since that Super Bowl run, their team has not been really the same. Matthew Stafford, he's been getting injured. He just has not looked like himself anymore. He just looks like an older quarterback, getting older and older each season. Cooper Kupp, he's been getting injured. Their whole offense runs through him. The pass always goes to his side. So if he's not playing, then it's a big problem. And it all depends on really if they get back to their Super Bowl caliber form. Because right now, just going based off last season, their team does not look good at all. Their defense really has to carry them. And I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers, they go in there and they beat the Rams in the Rams home stadium on October 22nd, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time, and the Steelers move their record to 5-1. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, like I said, they open up 5-1. Their next game is against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Steelers are at home October 29th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. And I believe this is where the Steelers lose this game, so their record goes to 5-2. The Jaguars last season, they really did good last season. They made the playoffs and stuff like that. I know I can't predict the Steelers to win every game. At one point, they're going to lose, and I believe this is a matchup where they just maybe get shocked by the Jaguars with their explosive offense, Calvin Ridley coming back, Trevor Lawrence taking the next step, Travis Etienne, explosive running back. I believe their defense is really good as well, so maybe the Steelers get shocked here, and they lose this game, and their record moves to 5-2. Moving on to the next week, against the Tennessee Titans, the Steelers once again are at home. It's November 2nd at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe the Steelers will lose their first back-to-back of the season, and both of them being at home. So this is really shocking, losing 2 games in a row at home. But the Tennessee Titans, I believe they're going to be better than they were last season, and it seems like they always play the Steelers very tight because they're really good at running the ball. Derrick Henry is still one of the best running backs in the league. Even though he got injured last season, people aren't really talking about him as much anymore, but I still believe he's one of the best running backs in the league, a power running back. And the Steelers, they go against DeAndre Hopkins as well, going over. He's not what he used to be when he was with Houston. Ryan Tannehill, he's still trying to get back to his form that he was a few years ago. But I believe the Tennessee Titans always play with a tough defense and tough offense against the Steelers. And the Steelers lose their first back-to-back against the Titans and the Jaguars. So now the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have 3 total losses on their record. Moving over to the next week, though, against the Green Bay Packers. I believe this one's going to be an easy one. I do not believe the Packers will be good this season. I don't believe they're going to come close to making the playoffs. They're going to be like a fringe team, even struggling to get 8 wins, I believe. So the Steelers, they face the Packers, and they kind of blow them out. I believe this is like the first blowout kind of the season, maybe against the Texans, maybe that team, but against the Packers, I believe the Steelers really do good, and they hold Jordan Love, a quarterback who's not in his rookie season, but is kind of like a rookie because he has not played that much. The Steelers are able to hold him, and he goes against a really good defense in the Steelers, and the Steelers win that game once again at home, November 12th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins and 3 losses on their schedule. So their record is 6-3 right now. And then moving over to the next week against the Cleveland Browns. They face the Cleveland Browns, and I believe they win the season series against the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, they play at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, November 19th. The Browns are at home this game, but I believe the Steelers really kind of stick it to them this season, are able to blow them out kind of in the season series, not in the games necessarily, because it's always a tough game, but in the season series, the Steelers win both games against the Browns. The next week, however, it's another AFC North matchup, having 2 AFC North matchups back-to-back. They face the Cincinnati Bengals November 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. So the Steelers face the Bengals for the first time in the season, and I believe the Bengals get the best of the Steelers. Joe Burrow should be 100% healthy by then, and everything, the Bengals season, it seems like it's going along perfectly these last few years with their team. Their offense isn't really good. Even though their defense took a step back, it still seems as though their defense is pretty good as well, and I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers lose this game against the Bengals. So the Steelers record, they now have 1, 2, 3, 4 losses on the season, and they move on to the next week. Moving on to the next week, however, they have an easy matchup. They just came off a loss against the Bengals, while they face the Arizona Cardinals, December 3rd, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It seems like the Cardinals are tanking their season. They cut their quarterback, Colt McCoy, their starter, right before the season started, and signed a guy who has not even been with the team in Joshua Dobbs. Even though Joshua Dobbs might be the better quarterback, they still cut the guy who's been on the team for a while now, knows the system, signing a guy who didn't even know the system at all, just joined the team. So it seems like they're kind of tanking, and it seems as though Kyler Murray, who knows if he's even going to play this season. I know it's reported he's going to come back and be healthy by the end of the season, but who really knows when dealing with that type of injury? So the Steelers, they face the Cardinals, and I believe they beat them as well. and they move on to the next week. But their next week and their next matchup, December 7th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, primetime football against the New England Patriots. This is always a tough matchup as well. Like I said with the Tennessee Titans earlier, that matchup is always tight. The Patriots one is always tight as well. Whenever the Steelers face the Patriots, it's always kind of like a low-scoring game. It's really more on their defense and the run game in that situation, and I believe the Steelers lose this matchup against the Patriots. Once again, they have never been really good in the battles against each other. Steelers have never really been beaten the Patriots a lot, but I believe the Patriots once again beat the Steelers, and the Steelers have to lose some games. I can't just predict the Steelers to win every single game. I know I want to, but I just have to put some losses in there so the record could be reasonable. Going on to the next week against the Colts, Indianapolis Colts. This should be another easy matchup, because they're going against a rookie quarterback, kind of like Lamar Jackson. He wants to run first. They're going against Anthony Richardson of the Colts, a rookie, and he wants to run first. And the Steelers have played of a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, so they're used to that type of running quarterback. So they know how to stop that, and I believe they get the best of him, and they're able to stop them with their defense. And the Steelers, they beat the Indianapolis Colts. So moving on, and just talking about the Steelers' record right now. Their record is now 9-4 heading into the last few weeks of the regular season. But going into their next week matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals again, I believe this is the season the Bengals once again beat the Steelers in both season series. Bengals is always a tough matchup as well, and it seems like even though that one opening game last year, even though the Steelers intercepted Joe Burrow like 4 times, turnover like 5 times. Even though they held them to that many turnovers, it still seems like the Steelers were struggling in that game. I know it's a different season, but I still believe the Steelers, they just lose the season series. It's always a tight matchup, and it always comes down to the wire. But the Steelers have to lose some games, and the Bengals beat the Steelers in both season series, and they face them December 23rd at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. But they lose this matchup, and now their record goes to 9-6. I think I said 8-5 before when I was talking about it, but no, the record is 9-6. That's my mistake as of right now. And moving on to the last 2 games of the regular season, facing Seattle at their place, December 31st, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe the Steelers win this game against the Seahawks. I do believe the Seahawks are going to be a decent team, but they're not going to be a great team. They still have Geno Smith. I don't know if that was just a one-season wonder with him. Obviously, they're facing them late in the season, so we're going to see if it was a one-season wonder, but I do believe the Steelers will win this matchup against Seattle. This should be a tough matchup. Their defense is usually good. Their offense is pretty solid, but I believe the Steelers, they win this matchup against Seattle. Moving on to the last game of the regular season against the Baltimore Ravens. At this point, the Steelers have 10 wins on the season. Their record is 10-6, so they at least get 10 wins this season. I believe they get 11, and they move over and face the Ravens, and they beat the Ravens in Baltimore. The last game of the regular season, January 7th, the time is to be determined, but I believe the Steelers, they have to beat the Ravens at least once this year. They always play Lamar Jackson good. They lost their first matchup early in the season against the Ravens, but this last matchup of the season, they face the Ravens once again to end the season like they did in Ben Roethlisberger's final year to make the playoffs then, and the Steelers clinch a playoff spot, having 11 total wins of the season and 6 losses total. So I believe the Steelers, it's going to be them and the Bengals, the top of the division. But I still believe the Bengals, because they beat the Steelers twice, they both finished with like an 11-6 record. And I believe the Bengals will win the division, but the Steelers will get the best seed in the, not the wild card, but like the best seed of the remaining teams of not division. So meaning that they will get like the 5th seed. They can't get the 4th seed or the 3rd seed because those are for division teams, but I do believe they get the 5th seed and they move on to the playoffs. And if you see my predictions on my playoff predictions, go ahead and watch it. I'll put up on the screen now on the top right corner. It's kind of the playoff bracket that I have. I have the Steelers facing the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round, and I believe that's a better matchup than what the Bengals are facing anyway. So it's a really good matchup. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have 11 wins on the season, 6 losses total. And this is a really good season for the Pittsburgh Steelers bouncing back and having over 10 wins once again. Obviously, this all depends on health. Is TJ Watt going to stay healthy? Hopefully. I believe he will. Cameron Heyward, him too. Larry Ogunjobi, Macus Patrick, all those guys staying healthy. But also it depends on Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris stepping up, Deontay Johnson stepping up, George Pickens, Kenny Pickett taking that next step, Najee Harris being able to actually run the ball really solidly. This all depends on the offense and defense staying healthy, taking the next step together, growing together. But I believe this is a season, as we've seen in the preseason, they went 3-0. I know it's kind of hopeful to predict a record like this of 11-6 with this team, seeing how they play the last few years, kind of struggling on offense. But I do believe this is a year they break out and show the NFL they're really a good team. So this is my record prediction for the Pittsburgh Steelers 2023-2024 NFL season. Let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about these record predictions? Do you like the record that I predicted? Do you think I made a mistake along the season? Do you believe they win a game, lose a game? Do you believe they actually lose both games to the Bengals? Let me know your thoughts just on each one down in the comments below. What are your record predictions for the Steelers for this upcoming season? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content, analysis reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for the channel as well, so you get notified when I post next year's video. I cover everything Pittsburgh Steelers, news, rumors, highlights, reports, everything like that, and even do these kind of stuff like that. I have 5 bold predictions yesterday. I did the playoff bracket a few days ago that was on the screen before, and now I do the record predictions. We're heading to the season down in 2 days, and we'll be covering the inactives, actives tomorrow, and just going through a game preview tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Like, comment, subscribe with notifications on. I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.